So, the title of this video makes the topic of this video clear, I believe. I'll be explaining in this video why I like Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. I think it caught some bad press at first, and that might have hurt people's opinions on it and how they viewed the material within the supplement. But as far as that material goes, it's more than enough to create an adventure within Ravnica. People said it was a cash grab, even though D&D doesn't really gross wizards a lot when you compare it to Magic the Gathering. If it was really money they were going after, they would have just printed more Magic cards with all the resources that went into building this guide, but instead they chose to make it. And for that I'm grateful because I'm not exactly a huge fan of most of the D&D standard settings. I mean, they'll do, but I have my grievances against them. The main problem with them that I found is that I really don't like the default races. I'm not a huge fan of the Neo-Tolkien lineup. I think Tieflings and Dragonborns are very interesting, but most players who play with them don't really tend to utilize those races in the way that they could be. And don't get me started on gnomes because I won't be able to stop if I do. Also, the fact that there's half elves and half orcs, and then you hear nothing about any of the other hybrids. I mean, is it that they can't breed? Is it just that they're too lazy to make some kind of half and half template? I think that would really improve the core race choices if you could have some kind of template where it was like half human template, half dwarf template. I don't know. But for some reason, full stop, half human, half orc, and half elf, half human are the only hybrids that are in PHB, and it just leaves a lot of questions in my mind. Compare that with a race option like Simic Hybrid. I mean, it's canon that your character was created by a faction within the game universe. That's going to be really force some interesting character choices on the player's part, like are they still Simic? Did they switch over from Simic? It's just a very powerful race option, and I feel that way about a lot of the Ravnica races, and yeah, they cut out a lot of what I consider Neo-Tolkien fluff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with elves or dwarves or anything like that. It's just, I feel like they work very well in Tolkien's work and not really in generic fantasy. It's kind of a similar idea with factions. I mean, the second your player chooses a faction to start with, that really embeds their character into the world and makes it super easy to make stories involving that character and involve them in the plot rather than having to like manually do it and insert like a town in there for their character to have come from in like a homebrew setting. It's just I like it. The players can also like read the first few chapters of the guide and really make a character that fits into the world. And I feel like a lot of DMs in their homebrew setting, it's like you don't get a chance to do that. You're just kind of plopped in the middle of it without knowing too much. But with like Ravnica, you all have kind of agreed this is the place you would like the characters to have come from, and this is like how you want them to fit into the world. And just with a lot of like homebrew campaigns and stuff, it's harder to do something like that. It's less there's less protocol for it. Like you could give a packet about the setting and stuff, but with the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, it's made for you. You just turn them loose on the first three chapters, and they can figure it out themselves. And if you and your players have some familiarity with Ravnica outside of like D&D, it makes it very fun to play through it. And I know personally, I've played some Magic the Gathering, and I mean, I'm vaguely aware of how Ravnica was. I feel like this supplement really did help flesh it out a bit and make it into uh, a gameable kind of tabletop setting, you know? And I really appreciate that. I've always really liked Ravnica. Also, the fact that they made backgrounds that like expand your spell list, I find that really inspiring for like homebrew and stuff because you can do similar things with backgrounds just in any game that isn't Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica inspired. Just have extra perks for background and maybe kind of helps you give an idea of what's balanced or not. Like if you want to have a higher fantasy game, you could do something like Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica and have it expand their spell list to go with whatever the background is. I mean, there's just a lot in the book that I like and take a lot of inspiration from and can use, even in games that aren't centered in Ravnica. Like they have a renown system with like some war tiers you could copy or take inspiration from. It's a lot of good stuff, and people really underrate it, I think. So there's been my hot take on Ravnica. Ready to lose all 2 of those subscribers now. But seriously though, this has been Sat Gaming. Have a good time. Have a good weekend. This video's coming out on Thursday. Go do something. Eat some pho. Pho's good.